At 3:17 a.m., I was sitting in my kitchen eating cold Taco Bell with one eye twitching uncontrollably while exporting a logo animation for a crypto startup that still hadn't paid me. My laptop sounded like it was preparing for takeoff. My bank account had $14 in it. And somehow, I was making more money than I ever had in my life. That's the part nobody tells you about freelancing. Because from the outside, everybody thinks freelancers are living this aesthetic digital nomad fantasy. Coffee shops, MacBooks, be your own boss, morning routines, passive income, Twitter threads written by guys named Caleb with anime profile pictures saying things like, "Escaped the Matrix at 22. Meanwhile, I was stress-eating shredded cheese directly from the bag at 4 a.m., wondering if I could survive another month without health insurance. And then, things got worse. Because 3 days later, I got a phone call that genuinely made me think my freelance career was over.
My name's Ethan. I'm 28. I live in a tiny apartment in Phoenix, Arizona that technically qualifies as a luxury studio, if your definition of luxury includes mysterious plumbing noises and neighbors who practice EDM at midnight. I'm a freelance video editor. Well, technically I'm a freelance everything. Like most freelancers, I started with one skill and slowly became a human Swiss Army knife because clients kept saying things like, "Hey, while you're in there," which is freelancer code for, "Can you do 7 extra jobs for free?" I started freelancing during the pandemic after getting laid off from a marketing agency where my manager used phrases like rockstar energy and circle back with the confidence of a cult leader. At first, freelancing felt incredible. No boss, no commuting, no khakis, no pretending to care about office birthday parties. I could wake up whenever I wanted, which sounded amazing until I realized whenever I wanted slowly became 1:30 p.m., followed immediately by panic. Back then, I was making maybe $1,200 a month, barely enough to survive. I had one Fiverr client who paid me $40 to edit motivational gym videos using the same Drake song over and over again. I still hear that song in my nightmares. But eventually, things started growing. I learned thumbnails, short-form content, TikTok editing, podcast clips. Suddenly, clients were everywhere. Fitness coaches, crypto bros, relationship podcasters, one guy who sold a course about high-value masculinity while filming in front of a rented Lamborghini. And somehow, it worked. Within a year, I was making almost $12,000 a month freelancing for my apartment, which sounds incredible until I explain what my actual life looked like. Imagine being permanently attached to your laptop like a hospital patient connected to life support. That was me. I stopped going outside. I stopped exercising. I stopped answering texts. My sleep schedule became spiritually offensive. And every time I tried relaxing, my brain whispered, "You should be working right now." That's when I realized freelancing has a hidden addiction nobody talks about. Not money, productivity. And trust me, that addiction gets ugly fast. The burnout started slowly. At first, it looked productive. I bought a standing desk, then a mechanical keyboard that sounded like I was decoding military secrets every time I typed, then a second monitor, then a third. At one point, my apartment looked less like a home and more like NASA mission control for unemployed people. I became obsessed with optimization. YouTube productivity videos ruined my life. Every morning, I watched 23-year-old entrepreneurs explain how waking up at 4:45 a.m. changed their mindset while I was eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch at noon wearing the same hoodie for 4 days. And somehow, I believed them. So I downloaded every productivity app known to humanity. Notion, Trello, ClickUp, Monday.com, one app whose only purpose seemed to be making me feel guilty using colorful rectangles. I built routines, morning routines, night routines, pre-work routines, deep focus systems. At one point, I literally had a hydration tracking spreadsheet. A spreadsheet for water. That's when things should have clicked. But instead, business exploded. One client referred another, then another. Then suddenly, I had 11 active clients, which sounds impressive until you realize 11 clients means 11 different people destroying your mental health simultaneously.
One client only sent voice notes recorded while driving. Another texted exclusively at 2 a.m. One guy revised thumbnails 17 times because the energy felt weird. The energy felt weird. Brother, it's a thumbnail, not a haunted Victorian child. But I said yes to everything because freelancers are terrified of losing momentum. Every project feels like it could be your last paycheck. That fear changes your brain. You stop thinking logically. You start accepting absurd things. One night, I edited a podcast episode while sitting on my bathroom floor because my downstairs neighbor was screaming during a FIFA tournament. Another time, I brought my laptop to a family barbecue, just in case. My aunt walked in and found me color grading TikToks in a laundry room next to potato salad. She stared at me for 5 full seconds and said, "Is this what self-employment means?" Honestly? Fair question. Then came the coffee phase. Every freelancer has one. At first, coffee feels productive. Then suddenly you're drinking cold brew concentrate strong enough to restart a dead civilization. My hands started shaking, my eye twitched constantly. I developed this weird anxiety where every email notification felt like a sniper shot. And the worst part? I was succeeding. That's what burnout dangerous. Nobody notices when you're falling apart if your income is going up. Online, everything looked amazing. I posted desk setup photos, client wins, revenue screenshots, little tweets like, "Grateful for the journey." Meanwhile, my apartment looked like a raccoon had started a startup. Cables everywhere, energy drinks, laundry mountains, receipts, half-eaten protein bars. One night, I accidentally fell asleep during a client Zoom call. Not metaphorically, literally. The client was explaining podcast branding strategy, and I woke up 20 minutes later pretending my Wi-Fi disconnected. He absolutely knew. Then my mom called.
Moms always know when something's wrong. She asked, "Are you okay?" And without even thinking, I said, "Yeah, just busy." Busy. That word is destroying an entire generation. Because busy sounds successful, even when it actually means mentally collapsing in slow motion. But the real turning point happened during tax season, or as freelancers call it, the annual psychological horror event. I had ignored taxes for months because every freelancer secretly believes future them will become responsible magically. Future Ethan, unfortunately, was also an idiot. So one afternoon, I opened my banking app while eating instant ramen and realized something horrifying. I had made 6 figures and somehow barely saved any money. It made absolutely no sense. Then my accountant called, and that phone call changed everything. I'll never forget this. I was sitting at Starbucks pretending to work while actually doom-scrolling Twitter. My accountant called and immediately sighed. Not hello, not how are you? A sigh. Never a good sign. Then he said, "Ethan, you know you owe around $32,000 in taxes, right?" I genuinely laughed, like full nervous movie villain laughter, because I thought he misspoke. 3,200 maybe. 32,000? No. Impossible. I checked my account again, then checked my credit cards, then checked my soul. Everything suddenly became terrifying. All those months of celebrating wins suddenly looked different. The Uber Eats orders, the expensive gadgets, the spontaneous sneaker purchases because I deserved it. I had money coming in constantly, but money was leaving even faster. Freelancers don't realize unstable income creates weird psychological behavior. When money arrives, you panic spend because you don't know when the next payment's coming. So I'd go from eating ramen for a week to suddenly buying a $300 office chair because a YouTuber said posture affects productivity. I sat there in Starbucks sweating through my hoodie, while an indie acoustic cover of a Taylor Swift song played overhead like the soundtrack to financial ruin. Then it happened. The email.
One of my biggest clients, a startup founder paying me almost $5,000 monthly, sent a message titled, "Quick Update." Freelancers know that title. Nothing good has ever followed Quick Update. The startup lost funding. They were pausing content immediately. Just like that, half my monthly income disappeared. And somehow, that still wasn't the worst part. Because after months of nonstop work, nonstop stress, nonstop caffeine, and basically treating my body like a rental car, my brain finally snapped. Not dramatically, quietly. That's the scary part about burnout. You don't explode, you slowly stop functioning. I couldn't focus anymore. Simple edits felt impossible. I opened Premiere Pro one morning and genuinely forgot what project I was working on. I started missing deadlines, forgetting messages, sleeping through alarms. One client asked for revisions and I stared at the email for 2 straight hours like it was written in ancient hieroglyphics. Then came the panic attack, and I wish I could say it happened somewhere dramatic. But no, it happened in Walmart, next to frozen pizzas. I was buying energy drinks, because of course I was, and suddenly my chest got tight. My vision blurred, heart racing, hands numb. For a second, I genuinely thought I was dying beside a stack of Totino's pizza rolls. The employee asking if I needed help looked maybe 17 years old and absolutely unprepared for whatever emotional breakdown energy I was radiating. I walked outside and sat in my car, shaking. And that's when it hit me. I had built an entire life around never stopping, because stopping felt dangerous. Freelancers don't get paid to rest. That mindset poisons you slowly. Every free moment becomes guilt. Every break feels irresponsible. Every vacation feels financially illegal. I looked at my phone. 47 unread emails, Slack notifications, missed calls, clients asking, "Just checking in." That phrase alone lowers my lifespan by 6 months. And sitting there in that Walmart parking lot, exhausted, terrified, broke despite making good money, I realized something horrifying. I had become the exact type of person hustle culture creates. Someone whose entire self-worth depended on output, not happiness, not health, output. And the internet rewards this behavior. People romanticize burnout constantly. Rise and grind, sleep is for losers, work while they sleep. Brother, they are sleeping because they're normal. Meanwhile, I was hallucinating Gmail notifications in the shower. So I drove home, opened my laptop, and for the first time in years, I couldn't do it. I just sat there staring at the screen, blank, completely empty. Then my friend Marcus called. Marcus is one of those freelancers who somehow remains emotionally stable. Annoying trait, honestly. He listened to me rant for almost an hour. Taxes, clients, stress, burnout, the panic attack, everything. Then he asked one question that genuinely changed my life. What would happen if you disappeared for 1 week? I immediately answered. Everything would collapse. But then I stopped. Because deep down, I knew that wasn't true. The truth was uglier. I had built my entire identity around being needed. Being busy made me feel important. Without work, I didn't know who I was anymore. That realization hit harder than the tax bill. So Marcus forced me to do something insane. Take a weekend off. Not work remotely. Not lightly check emails. Actually disappear. And I fought him on it like he suggested arson. But eventually, I agreed. And that weekend changed everything.
The first day felt illegal. I kept reaching for my phone every 6 minutes like a nicotine addict. I opened Slack 3 times accidentally through muscle memory. That's when you know burnout has fully infected your brain. But slowly, something weird happened. The world didn't end. Clients survived. Emails waited. Nobody exploded because Ethan, the freelance content goblin, took 2 days off. So I started noticing things again. Sunlight, actual meals, conversations. I realized I hadn't watched a movie without simultaneously editing thumbnails in over a year. That's psychotic behavior. Then I looked honestly at my finances for the first time. Not emotionally, not optimistically, honestly. And the problem wasn't freelancing, it was how I approached it. I confused revenue with stability. I confused hustle with progress. I confused exhaustion with ambition. So I changed things slowly. I raised my prices, dropped nightmare clients, started saving automatically for taxes, created actual work hours, stopped answering messages after midnight like a digital emergency responder. And the hardest part? Learning that rest is productive too. That sounds cheesy, I know. If someone told me that 2 years ago, I would have rolled my eyes so hard I'd see my own brain. But it's true. Burnout destroys creativity first, then
confidence.
Then, eventually, your ability to function entirely. Freelancing can absolutely change your life. It changed mine. I've met amazing people, built real freedom, made more money than I ever thought possible. But nobody tells you freedom becomes dangerous when you don't know when to stop. That's the freelancer burnout epidemic. Not working hard, working endlessly because you're terrified to slow down. And honestly, the internet makes it worse because everybody online shows the wins. Nobody posts the panic attacks in Walmart. Nobody tweets, "Just cried over QuickBooks again." Nobody uploads, "Day 437 of eating lunch at my desk like a Victorian factory child." But that's the reality for millions of freelancers, especially now. AI pressure, economic anxiety, competition, social media comparison, everybody feeling like they're already behind. And that pressure quietly destroys people. These days, my business actually makes less money than it did during peak burnout. And weirdly, I'm happier. Because I can sleep normally now. I leave my apartment. I have hobbies again. I no longer measure my self-worth based on whether somebody named Tyler responds to a Google Doc comment. Progress. Sometimes I still catch myself slipping into old habits, checking emails at midnight, thinking productivity equals value, trying to optimize my existence like I'm a malfunctioning robot. But then I remember that version of myself, sitting in a Walmart parking lot, genuinely believing life was over because he hadn't rested in months. And honestly, that guy didn't need another productivity hack. He needed a nap, and probably vegetables, mostly vegetables. So if you're freelancing right now, grinding nonstop, terrified to slow down because the algorithm says you should always be building, just remember something. The goal of freelancing was supposed to be freedom, not building a prison with better Wi-Fi. And trust me, your inbox will still be there tomorrow.